like a movie. Un movie de Minions.
Movie starts with a black and white montage, revealing that the Minions have secretly existed throughout history. They appear during famous historical moments, help behind the scenes of silent films, work as actors, cameramen, and directors, and accidentally turn ordinary events into unforgettable disasters. Their influence on cinema stretches back decades. Even though nobody knows they were ever involved, the story then shifts to the present day inside a movie museum at Universal Studios. A tour guide shows visitors famous sets from movies like E.T. and The Matrix. She even points toward what looks like a statue of George Lucas, only for everyone to realize it is actually George Lucas himself standing there after being forgotten. The guide explains that the Minions also helped shape Hollywood history, but nobody believes her. To prove it, she begins telling the forgotten story of James and Henry. Years earlier, the Minions continue searching for another evil master. Among them is James, a creative minion who constantly fills notebooks with drawings, stories, and ideas instead of causing chaos. His imagination is unmatched, but the other minions dismiss his creativity. Their strict leader, Dick, orders everyone to focus on serving villains instead of wasting time dreaming. The minions eventually discover a giant Cyclops living on a lonely island. The enormous creature enjoys crushing villages, creating earthquakes, and spreading destruction everywhere he goes. Believing they have finally found the perfect master, the minions happily dedicate themselves to serving him. Wanting to impress the Cyclops, James builds colorful toy blocks and presents him with a handmade portrait of himself surrounded by the minions. Unfortunately, the Cyclops destroys the blocks, slips during the commotion, tumbles down a mountainside, and is accidentally impaled, dying instantly. The entire tribe blames James for losing another master. While everyone insults him, one minion finds the whole disaster hilarious. His name is Henry. Instead of mocking James, he introduces himself, and the two quickly become best friends. Their journey continues until they discover an evil wizard living inside a giant castle. The wizard constantly forces the minions to clean while he studies ancient magic. Curious about his mysterious spellbook, James and Henry secretly read it while the wizard is away. Inside, they discover terrifying monsters and magical creatures. Henry accidentally summons an adorable pink rabbit that suddenly transforms into a horrifying monster. Within seconds, it destroys the castle and completely erases the wizard from existence. Panicking, James and Henry desperately search through the spellbook until they discover a spell that banishes the creature back to its own dimension. Although they survive, they once again lose another master because of an accident. Soon afterward, they rescue another lonely minion named Ed, who cannot speak or hear. Despite his disability, Ed quickly becomes one of their closest friends, and the three begin traveling together while the remaining minions continue searching for villains around the world. Years pass as the minions repeatedly serve different evil leaders, including a mummy, pirates, kings, feudal lords, and countless criminals. Every adventure ends in complete disaster. Some villains die through ridiculous accidents, while others abandon the minions after one catastrophe too many. Eventually, Dick grows tired of James and Henry causing trouble and separates them from the tribe. Even so, they secretly continue meeting every night while James fills notebook after notebook with stories inspired by everything they have experienced. One morning, another argument erupts among the minions as everyone blames James once again. Before the fight grows worse, they notice a thief racing through the city while being chased by police officers. Instantly deciding he must become their next master, hundreds of minions begin chasing him as well. The terrified thief wants nothing to do with them. He spends the entire chase trying to escape both the police and the minions at the same time. James and Henry pursue him aboard a speeding train, while the remaining minions accidentally destroy buildings, streets, and everything around them. Just as the destruction reaches its peak, the unbelievable truth is revealed. The thief is not a criminal at all. He is simply an actor filming an action movie. The runaway train crashes directly onto a giant movie set, ruining expensive scenes and leaving the director devastated. Furious, studio executives prepare to fire him. Instead of becoming angry, the studio owners are fascinated by the minions. Their completely natural performances are far funnier than anything the professional actors delivered. The director quickly finds the minions and introduces himself as Max. He apologizes for treating them badly and invites them to become movie stars. James immediately falls in love with filmmaking. For the first time, he realizes all the stories he has spent years drawing could become real movies. Max teaches them everything about cameras, costumes, directing, and filmmaking. During their first production, the minions play medieval soldiers, but because they cannot separate acting from reality, they fight with complete seriousness, knocking actors across the set and destroying expensive props. Instead of ruining the movie, audiences love the realism and comedy. Movie after movie becomes a huge success. Henry grows into Hollywood's biggest comedy star, while James becomes deeply involved behind the camera, helping write stories, design scenes, and direct productions. The minions become celebrities, move into a luxurious mansion, and enjoy worldwide fame. Max proudly tells James he has the talent to one day win an Academy Award. James has never heard of an Oscar, so Max explains it is the greatest honor a filmmaker can receive. Unfortunately, Hollywood changes forever. Silent films disappear as studios introduce talking pictures with synchronized dialogue. Since the minions cannot properly speak human language, their popularity quickly fades. Audiences lose interest, the studio replaces them with human actors, and their contracts are terminated. Max sadly says goodbye, encouraging James never to abandon his creativity. The minions lose everything and are forced to leave their mansion for an abandoned warehouse. Most of them decide to return to searching for another villain, believing that serving evil is their only purpose. James refuses to give up. Looking through his notebooks, he suddenly has a brilliant idea. Instead of following villains, why not create a movie about the minions themselves? Inspired by every adventure they have experienced, he begins writing a screenplay titled Minions and Monsters. Dick dismisses the idea completely, leaving only Henry and Ed willing to help James. The three return to Max, who loves the script but explains they have no budget for a monster movie. Even so, Max gives James his old camera, encouraging him to keep chasing his dream. Their next challenge is finding a real monster. Remembering the wizard's spell book, they search its pages until they discover another summoning spell. Hoping to summon a terrifying creature, they accidentally bring forth a tiny green monster named Gamey. Although disappointed, Gamey promises he knows where real monsters live and offers to guide them to a mysterious island. Meanwhile, the remaining minions discover a strange alien robot named Dorth, who proudly claims he has come to conquer Earth. Naturally, the minions immediately decide he is their new master and begin following him everywhere. Dorth lives in a tiny apartment with his roommate Floyd and dreams of becoming the world's greatest conqueror, although his biggest problem is an irritated neighbor who constantly complains about him. James, Henry, Ed, and Gamey travel toward Monster Island, surviving storms, dangerous cliffs, hungry sharks, and countless obstacles before finally reaching the frozen island. Deep beneath the ice, Gamey awakens two gigantic monsters imprisoned for centuries. They immediately try to eat the minions, but Gamey convinces them to star in James's movie instead. Reluctantly, they agree. At the same time, Dorth attempts to begin his conquest of Earth. During one of his speeches in a park, he unexpectedly meets a kind woman named Devi and instantly falls in love. Instead of conquering humanity, he begins bringing her flowers, taking her skating, organizing romantic dates, and trying to impress her. Back at the studio, James excitedly prepares the sets for minions and monsters, but the monsters secretly have their own plan. They are not interested in acting and only want to destroy cities and devour humans. Gamey privately tells them that once filming begins, they will summon their true leader and use the opportunity to conquer Earth. Unfortunately, Henry overhears everything. Before he can warn James, Gamey captures him and hides him away. Gamey lies to James, claiming Henry volunteered to perform the movie's biggest scene, where the legendary monster Irene will dramatically swallow him before the heroes rescue him. Trusting Gamey completely, James agrees. Filming begins as Gamey performs another summoning ritual. A massive portal tears open across the sky and Irene, an enormous jelly-like monster covered in eyes, emerges. At first, James believes the destruction is incredible acting, but seconds later, he realizes the attack is completely real. Irene captures Henry and begins swallowing buildings, vehicles, and everything across the city. The remaining minions attack with every ridiculous invention they can find, firing cannons and explosives, but Irene regenerates after every hit. James enters the monster's body, rescues Henry, and discovers Irene has absorbed huge sections of the city. Meanwhile, Dorth is enjoying a date with Devi when they learn about the monster attack. Devi urges him to help. Although Dorth initially runs away in fear, he soon returns with advanced alien technology and gathers every minion into one united army. Together, they launch a coordinated assault against Irene. During the battle, James discovers Gamey betrayed them from the beginning. Using Dorth's alien technology, the minions weaken Irene while James and Henry reopen the magical portal. The defeated monsters mourn their fallen leader as James, Henry, Ed, Dorth, and every minion force Irene and the remaining monsters back into their own dimension before sealing the portal forever. Although Hollywood has suffered enormous damage, James realizes something incredible. Throughout the entire adventure, Ed faithfully recorded everything using Max's old camera. James edits the footage, adds music, visual effects, and storytelling, minions and monsters. Premieres in theaters and becomes an enormous success. Audiences praise its action, comedy, monsters, and unforgettable adventure. During the Academy Awards, James finally wins the Oscar Max once told him about, standing proudly beside Henry, Ed, Max, and the other minions. The story returns to the movie museum, where the guide finishes explaining how James secretly changed movie history forever. Just as everyone prepares to leave, the biggest twist is revealed. The museum, the visitors, the guide, George Lucas, and everything the audience has watched are actually part of another movie set. James suddenly shouts, "Cut!" The camera pulls back to reveal that the entire museum sequence has been another scene from Minions and Monsters, making the entire story a movie within a movie. As filming wraps, the entire cast celebrates together while James proudly watches his lifelong dream come true. After years of searching for villains, the Minions finally discover their true purpose, not serving evil, but creating unforgettable stories together. Movie end.